Well, it's out. It happened. The rumors were true. Ironman confirmed that the 2023 Men's World Championship is going to be in Nice for the Ironman. And there's a lot of mixed feelings on it. I figured I'd throw my opinions out there and let you know kind of what I'm doing for this year. I really see both sides. I think that there's a lot of good things and a lot of bad things. I think that anybody who claims to know exactly, it's going to be super good for the sport or super bad for it, it's bull. You can't predict the future, but and only time will tell how well this decision actually turns out for Ironman and for the sport. But I mean, when I'm planning out my season and I take a look at something like this, like I race to race big races and be the best and to win those races. And whether that's in, Hawaii or France or Australia or wherever, I'm no stranger to racing world champs in different places around the world. So that, is not a huge deal to me overall. But that's not to say that, Kona isn't a special place. And, if I had my way, I guess, maybe we could, have something a little bit similar to tennis where you have Kona and then you have the world champs. And it's like Wimbledon and the US Open. You get two different races. Both of them are big. I think that, Kona kind of has its own draw, obviously, with how angry some people are. And you still get the rotating world champs and the prestige of racing on the Big Island. But obviously I don't have any say. So that's just kind of, me dreaming and brainstorming. And I'm sure a lot of people have some ideas about it too. But I think that, changing up the course and the conditions that the world champs is in, it's going to change the players a little bit because it's just hard to adapt to the heat sometimes. And so it might change that, but I feel pretty strongly that the course doesn't dictate the race. The people who race the course dictate the race. And I think a prime example of that is the Brownlee brothers. When I race against them in ITU racing, is they always just, whether it was a flat course, a hilly course, no matter what it was, they took they took it from the gun. They swam hard, they got a breakaway, they made the breakaway stick, and they still raced fast. And if nobody wanted to go with them on the bike, they would go solo and they'd still run fast. So I think we're seeing that in the sport. People are going to race how they're going to race, and maybe your strategy changes a little bit throughout it, but it's really about racing the course, especially in an Ironman, and racing your best race. So maybe it makes for some more exciting dynamics, maybe it doesn't, but I know that I enjoyed watching the race in St. George at the very least. So definitely, it just, people are going to be brand new to it, essentially. Like, nobody's raced an Ironman World Championship in Nice, except for that one group of pros. And I'm sure if I get this wrong or misremembered, somebody will be able to correct me in the comments. But we talk about tradition in Kona and how awesome that is. And I think we should stick to that, and we should hold on to, tradition and the stories and the great races that happen. And it's great that we at least have this one line that we can always refer back and recall the different years in the Ironman, who won. People keep up with that, but there's a whole side to the sport that we just kind of tend to forget. And, races like St. Anthony's, Noosa, the various Ironmans, like there's a long history in our sport that, people don't always, remember. And maybe this will get people thinking too about that entire side of it, because that tradition, is that draw to Kona that, I can see and I can relate to. But what's almost kind of ironic is Nice was, in one of the years in the 80s, was the pro designated world championships. It was a group of pros. Most of them boycotted Kona because they weren't happy with what was going on. And it was kind of a self-imposed trying to get together and stick it to how the race was being run. And they went to Nice and had their own kind of official, unofficial world champs. So I feel like there's, call it irony or whatever it is in there, that we're going back to Nice now for the world champs. That was a little bit interesting and funny at the same time. So overall, I think that, when I look at it, I wasn't, super upset that Nice was going to be this year, especially when I heard the rumor at first, even though there is that draw to racing, where the world champs has been for the entire time. Not that I'm, ever against change or anything, but to have it in one place and hear all the stories, I get that draw. It's exciting to go to a new spot. So some of that took over as well. Two things kind of, I guess, really disappointed me in how it was all handled, I guess. One, I don't like how they're splitting the men and the women and having two completely different venues for the world champs. I get that the Big Island can't accommodate, two almost straight days of racing. It's a lot of people. It's a small community, and we kind of take over that island, and it's not always fair to the locals. So I get the stress, and I really loved that the women had their own day, and they shouldn't have any interference, and they did have interference when they raced the same day as the men. So I don't think we should ever go back to having it the same day, but having it in two separate places, I think it takes away some of that extra I don't even know, fun, excitement, camaraderie that we've built at every single other triathlon. And I have watched this year having, men and women racing at different days between half Ironman World Champs and all the PTO races. And a lot of the guys and girls, on the day they're not racing, they're out watching the opposite gender race. And I think that's something that's really cool and unique to the sport. And it's sad to see that go at one of the biggest races of the year, and when the whole world's going to be watching. And I think that's a big loss. It's kind of hard to articulate that, I think, overall, with just exactly what's missing there. But I think it's really that kind of camaraderie, and that, it's great to be able to, like, I heard, a lot of people never watched an Ironman before because they're always in there racing. And, I've watched Ironman before, but when I was racing at Arizona, it was cool to watch the women's race unfold because we had so many out and backs and stuff, and being able to share the course with them is a lot of fun, and to relate experiences and, just kind of grow the sport that way. So that's a loss. And then this is just, a minor issue because we always kind of get, more than 6 months to plan for everything. But the way the races are being released is just makes it hard to plan much more than 6 to 12 months tops in advance. And having it be in September for Nice was kind of not a shock, but wasn't expected. And that's a big issue for me because it just so happens that Nice is on the same exact day as my brother's wedding. So that's a no-go for me. And I can't decide when my brother gets married, but there was a discussion, with my family, like, hey, when is there some big races, on these dates? Because you usually look at a few when you're planning a wedding. And the 70.3 World Champs are in Finland in August, and Kona is traditionally in October. And so I was like, with the PTO races, there's a chance that one kind of falls in September somewhere, but, I'm going to make the World Champs. And I did have, Kona on my mind even earlier this year, as maybe I raced my first Ironman in 2023 and qualify. So had put that out there, but with this change, and I'm going to be sad to be missing Nice and not being able to race. And, I'm in a bit of a unique position now because I did qualify for an Ironman World Championship slot. And so right after the announcement, I was notified by Ironman that because of that I had already qualified. And I think I checked the list, and there's, 10, 11 guys who are in kind of a similar predicament. Before this was announced, we qualified. So they gave us the option to take our 2023 slot and go race in Nice, or defer to 2024 to go to Kona. And, any other year where it wouldn't be my brother's wedding, I'd probably be stepping on the start line in Nice and trying my hand at the first World Championships for Ironman that's officially outside of Kona, which actually that's wrong. St. George was, but in having this first split race, kind of the major one that wasn't affected by a pandemic, I guess. So wouldn't have, that. But regardless, like, I'd be stepping on that start line, and I always plan to race the world championships that I qualify for. But the ability to defer this year, I'm just grateful that, my world champ slot doesn't go to waste. So, yeah, I mean, I'll be missing the race at in Nice this year, and we'll be distracted enough and having a great time at my brother's wedding, which I'm super pumped for. Really happy for him and his fiance, and really can't wait for that. But I think now I've probably started officially the longest road to Kona. I'm sure there's some other instance, but this may be the longest somebody has had to wait for their qualification slot, going from when I qualified in November 22nd at Ironman Arizona all the way until October. I think it's October 20 something in 2024 is when I'm going to be able to use that world champ slot. So yeah, kind of a lot of different opinions there. A little bit of a twist at the end. Obviously sad to be missing one world champs, and even if my brother's wedding gets canceled or something, I've already claimed the slot for Kona, and I'm not allowed to go to Nice anymore. So we'll be sad to miss out on that. But yeah, just really looking forward to planning out this year now. And that leaves a big hole in my schedule of, do I do a full? Is there a full you guys would like to see me in? Do I just focus completely on middle distance racing and then do a big build for Kona in 2024? So we're in the process of finalizing all of that. If there is a place you'd like me to race and you think I'd be interested in, I'm always open to suggestions. And yeah, I will keep you guys updated, and you'll see what actually happens when I release my full schedule. But looking forward to this year. It's turning out, despite kind of that disappointment in missing a world champs and being on the sideline, it's turning out to be, I think, a very exciting year, and just, yeah, looking forward to getting out there. So be sure to leave a comment. What do you think about all of this that's going on, where I should race? And yeah, be sure to like, subscribe, and keep following along, because it's going to be a big year. I feel like I've got a lot of cool stuff planned, so excited to have you guys along for the ride.